It's this thing. I'm here. You're here. He's there. That's us.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Good.
Awesome. Awesome. In a minute, we're going to be talking Farm Simulator with...
Martin Rabl.
That's the guy. Before we do that, a couple of little things have occurred. Nothing really hugely major. Joerg is on his phone right now. He's not actually on his computer, so that's why he's a little bit stilted upwards.
Yeah. And I look a bit funny in the video version of this podcast too.
A little bit. Is that a dinosaur to your left?
A dinosaur to my left.
Yeah, a green thing right there on the shelf.
Green thing
Other
on the
side.
shelf.
Other
I
left.
don't.
Yeah, right there. Your finger's right on it.
Dinosaur? There is no dinosaur.
Oh, there's a green thing. I don't know. It looks kind of like a... I might just be making that up.
It's a Game Boy Color. No, it's a Game Boy Classic.
No.
Green.
It's still behind you. Other side. Top of the shelf. Green thing. Yeah.
No, that's a green wall actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a green wall.
Kind of looked like a dinosaur head. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
We are not talking about Dinosaur Simulator. We will be talking about Farming Simulator.
Dinosaur Simulator would be pretty cool if they did like a Jurassic Park simulator. That would be. I would buy that game.
Okay.
So, FPGA Sid, we've talked about this 423,000 times in the last 8 podcasts.
Exactly, and they actually shipped. Oh my god!
It's out.
I'm
it's
expecting my parcel tomorrow. Oh my
Woo-hoo.
god! Woo!
So it's out. It's there. It's available at a website that
CryptoFlux.
It's webstore.cryoflux.com. We'll put the link down there.
Exactly.
Where people can click and go to and purchase their own unit. It comes with, you can get just the basic thing. You can get the thing with the 128 cables. There's a breakout cable, so you can actually use the stereo SID options and stuff like that. And it runs about...
I just get the bare one without cables. And I will be interested to listen to that if these analog filters are really so close to the originals as they announce on their homepage. Because the sound examples they had on their homepage didn't use filters.
Right. Well, I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of videos comparing real SIDs and that. So,
exactly. Yeah.
So that is cool, and now we can finally stop talking about them for once.
Nice. Except if they are crap, then we will fix that up again.
Yeah.
How
or
it could really fail so much.
Or if they're really good. So actually, I guess we won't stop talking about them.
Okay. Nice.
Why haven't they been on the podcast yet?
Because we didn't invite them yet.
Well, what the hell are we doing? Whose job is this? Janet.
Yours?
Janet, get on that.
Yours? Mine? I know. Because we spoke with other hardware manufacturers like the guy from Denmark who did the new keyboard. And the new 128 remastered, which is also on pre-order now.
Yes,
and the pre-order is open until the end of March. So get yours until March 31st. And you really should get one, because if there are not enough orders, it's not going to be, produced. And so get yours.
Yes,
and
go to the website. Don't be alarmed by a lack of published material about it, because I feel like the guy has just been spending more time designing the hardware than he has been updating his website.
That's also true. Yeah, but most questions are answered in our interview with him. So be sure to listen to that. And I wonder, by the way, did it help? Did you fix your C128, or didn't you try after the podcast?
I did fix it, yes.
And was he right about that?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. It works.
Hey,
I
you
don't know.
see?
I don't know how long term how well it is, but it's working now.
So he knows his stuff. Oh my
Yeah, yeah.
God. So, and the thing is, as you know, there is PayPal and all that stuff. If there's any problem, you can always get your money back. But
Mhm.
I really think this thing will happen. But that's another thing I don't like about the retro community is like a lot of people on Facebook were discussing like this is Vaporware as long as I don't see it physically. But
Right.
if nobody's ordering, he cannot produce a physical
Exactly. Right.
product. So, and not everybody wants to go crowdfunding. You know, not
Yeah.
everybody wants to go crowdfunding. So,
The retro community is real fickle at times.
yeah,
It's
just because of one product that failed doesn't mean that everybody's ripping you off.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing, and as you know, by the new terms of PayPal, you can always get your money back after half a year or something.
Oh yeah.
Though there's not really much risk involved. But he spoke so openly about it on our podcast. He runs this thing out, and there are pictures of the board and all that stuff. And hey, who doesn't have an empty C64 case laying around? Everybody has an empty case laying around, and if not, then get one from eBay. My God, I mean they are available used or new from the Pixel Wizard store. You know,
Right.
because Jens Schoenfeld is doing them, which we also had on the podcast before. So get a case, get this board, and the best thing is you don't need a C128 case. You just need a Z64 case for it.
Right. Right.
So that's about that.
hmm
What else did happen?
Uncle Art, the film, which has been in production for some time, is out. I don't think it's out in general sale yet. It should be soon. Um, so that's cool to see.
Yep, that's true. Yep, I spoke to Lucy and she said, no, it's not out on public sale yet, but it should be.
Mhm.
Let's see. You know how things, sorry, you know how things go. Maybe next quarter, we will see. There's
Yeah,
no definite release date here for the physical release.
you're
But
right.
but I got mine because I was a Kickstarter backer and I got a physical Blu-ray.
Me too. Me too. Well, I
So
got the digital download. I did not get the physical Blu-ray, but
nice.
so that's cool. And so that means it has an IMDb entry.
I guess
Does it?
so.
Oh, it does. It does have an. Oh, shit. Does that mean I have an idea?
I mean, Lucy works in the industry, so she
Yeah, yeah,
should make
yeah.
should
It's
have.
definitely there. I see it in the. Uh,
And is there H.A. Heller? Because you should know, guys, he is a part of the movie.
yeah. Yes, I am.
So tell people about it. Don't be shy.
I don't know how much can we talk about it before it's out.
Well, it is out on Kickstarter, so
Right, but is it? But can we talk about what's in it to everybody else though?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
But you can talk about a little snippet, I guess. That
Yes,
you.
yes, they did.
I mean, it's at least our material because it's taken from the podcast.
Yes, they did use a part of our podcast with Dave and Holly Lowe from I guess it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting surprise to watch the movie and suddenly hear myself talking.
So
Which was,
Scene World is credited, and we got a
yeah,
quote there from AJ. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So does that mean I'm going to be in the IMDb listing? No, not currently.
hmm.
Okay, that's
Okay. Other news, sad news, and this is really like death announcement because in the last podcast we already had one, and this time, unfortunately, record-holding player from former Twin Galaxies, Joel West, died, unfortunately. And there are quite a lot of articles about him. So we will link to that in the description. I spoke to him briefly 4 weeks before he died, and wow, this really shocks me. So in life, I always learned, like, talk to the people as long as they are still alive, because you never know how long you will have the chance to.
Yeah.
You know, so all this fighting between people, it's not really worth it. Yeah. So, and he died quite young, at 58. You know.
Yeah.
And considering that many people I interview for our tech interviews that are above 80, that's
right.
pretty young, you know. Well, that's about it. I guess, guys, read it for yourself. We will just link to the star and other articles in the podcast description. As I said, I spoke to him briefly. He's one of the big friends from Walter Day. So yeah. Let's hope that 2019 will be better and people will more likely stay alive.
Yes.
Right. Okay. 10% battery. I hope we can record this.
Well, then, in that case, we should probably get going with the interview, since we've only got 10% of your battery left to get it done with. So.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yes.
So, enjoy.
Yes. Sitting right over there, waiting for us to stop talking and get on with this all, is Martin. So.
Yeah. Getting some farming going on. Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah. And some train rides in between, like I did.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time, Martin.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was nice.
So today we are talking to Martin Rabl from GIANTS Software, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And you are a PR manager?
I'm the PR and marketing manager at GIANTS Software in Erlangen. We've got an office in Zurich, which is the headquarters, but I'm part of the German team, and we've got around 25 people in Erlangen. So we're doing a bit of different stuff than in Zurich, but yeah, we're here for like less than 3 years, I think, 3.5.
Okay. So let's start with the obvious. How did you actually get into the industry? I mean, farming simulator and all that stuff, you sold millions of that. And it's quite interesting because AJ said for him, he wonders if that ever was a big thing in America, actually.
Do you mean me? Do you mean me or GIANTS Software?
I mean, farming simulator. I mean,
I think he means you personally. Like, how did you get into?
Yeah, into the industry, and then finally being responsible for working for a company that releases farming simulator.
Yes, because I didn't start there. I mean, I think it was 2005, I think, when I joined the video games industry. And I was, at that time, it was just about after my studies, and I started working at a company that, we were developing software, I think, for facility management. And I was, more working with the developers to figure out what actually has to be developed. So I wasn't really a developer myself, and I still am not a developer. So I'm not doing the coding on the game. So that's people, sometimes forget that not everyone is actually a programmer. And I played an online role-playing game back then. It was called City of Heroes. That might be actually quite popular in the US and in the UK maybe, where you played superheroes. And back then, I've done quite a few things for the community. So it was more like a tabloid newspaper style, uploading it. Back then, it was a bit more complicated without Facebook and everything. And people liked it. And at some point, the company was looking for a new community manager, and then it looks like they couldn't find one, and then they reached out to me in the forums and said like, hey, you're doing quite a few stuff for the community already, don't you want to join? And we need someone to actually to be able to write and maybe come up with interesting stories, and you seem to be able to do that. And it meant that I had to move to the UK, and I thought about it, but then I did. And that's how I got into it. And I think that's still something how people still get into the games industry. I mean, as a developer, it's a bit of a different way. Usually you probably apply and then you show what you've done and then you start coding. But there might be a lot of other jobs where you just kind of stumble into because you're a fan of video games. Oh yeah, and then for Farming Simulator, I came to Farming Simulator like in 3.5 years ago, and I came back to Germany. I was in Berlin for a while. But then I actually moved back to where I'm from, like Nuremberg, this area, just north of Bavaria. And I've been here for a few years. And I mean, to be honest, I was in touch with a recruiter at some point, and I told him that more or less like, I need some time off, think about what I'm going to do. I'm going to be in Nuremberg. But if he ever finds something that he thinks is really, really, a good fit for me, then he should get in touch with me again. And then after 2 years, he did it because he saw that and he thought about me. It was like, it's next to where you live. What about that? And I actually thought, yeah, he's right. And to be honest, the thing is that I didn't know that the Giant software was in Erlangen, because that just started after I moved back here. Otherwise would have been quite curious, I guess. And then I thought, I know the game. I know it's popular. Let's check it out what they want. And then I realized the more I talked with them that it's something I was really looking forward to working with, because that's also what I told the guy. I told him like, if I were gonna get back in the video games industry, or like on the publisher side and developer side, I would like to work for a game and for people that love creating what they do, are passionate about it, and also a game that I think is kind of a good game. I mean, it's good in terms of quality, but also in terms of like what you're doing in the game, how the game actually is being done. And Farming Simulator is, I would say, like very family friendly. You also don't shoot anyone. Also, the business model, I think, is very friendly for everyone. So that's something I could totally get behind. And then I thought, okay, let's do it. So that's kind of a long story, but because I don't have a really farming background. I grew up in a village. So, I more and more when I travel by train or car and look outside the window, I try to recognize the tractors or whatever is there on the fields. And I think everyone does that when you start a Giant software. Like I tell everyone, like, every newcomer, I tell them like, in 3 months, you're going to check out the tractors outside. You won't believe it, but you will do it. And everyone does that.
Well, I have to say, from my perspective, at least in Germany, this reality simulation is kind of a hype that started, I think, like some years ago, and a lot of YouTubers actually coin on that, like long distance bus driver simulator or something, So and there's even an airport cargo simulator where you drive around on the airport and do all the stuff like refilling planes and all that stuff. So it's really a big thing, and you actually sold millions of Farming Simulator already. So it's amazing. So I wonder, you said you didn't have really a background in those emulators. So I wonder, what was your first thought? I mean, it's not a typical genre where the the hardcore gamer would say, okay, that sounds interesting. I'm going to buy farming
Gotta plant some
simulator.
corn.
Yeah. I took a look at it, and then I realized more and more that there are some similarities with like the games I worked on before, these MMORPGs mainly. The game itself is no MMORPG at all. I mean, we've got online multiplayer with up to 16 players, but in general, it's a world that you kind of take care of. You go through it. You build your own farm, and it's a game where you don't really have to beat someone in the MMORPGs where you fight with factions against each other. But it's always more about yourself, your character, leveling up, buying maybe a bigger house or something, and that's kind of similar in Farming Simulator. When I had a look at the community, because part of my job as PR marketing manager, as I figured out in the discussions with my bosses back then, was that it's like the community management, like taking care of the people who play the game and represent them also like internally, figure out what they like, what they don't like. And I've seen similarities there between MMO communities and like the farming simulator community, because both are very passionate about the game itself, about the mechanics, the tractors, the tools. They know them. They are really they look at it and they want to see that it moves like in real life. And I think that there was kind of this. I saw that there was a similarity there between these two communities, and that's why I was like, okay, that's. Even though I don't know all the tractors, I think I know how the community clicks, and I think there's some truth in there. Yeah.
And then fast forward on April 1st, you made a joke saying, this year we are going C64, and then you finally did it. I wonder how that happened. I mean, that is kind of crazy. I mean, now you're covering the retro community, so you are opening up to a whole new field of customers.
Yeah, I mean, that for now, I mean, that is kind of a one-off thing, I would say. I mean, even though it all started with us talking about it, now it's 2 years ago because it was 2017. We talked about it when I think this not N64, the C64 Mini came out, because some of us bought it, and that kind of started us. We started talking about it again. And then we realized how many of us actually played the C64 back then. And especially one of our audio designers, Laszlo, he still has connections to the Hungarian C64 developer crew. And then we kind of thought, we're on so many platforms. And then someone, I think, was joking around, yeah, but the C64 is still missing. And we're like, well, we could actually do it. And then I think the first thought was like, bit of on the funny side. And then the more we thought about it, we thought, hey, we could just put it in the press kit. And then we also thought, hey, we could actually put it in the collector's edition. And once we decided to do that, we thought, how are you going to announce it? And then we thought, I think it was like March or February. We thought, what about if we wait until April 1st and then we announce it? No one would believe us. And and then we announced on April 1st with a press release and even screenshots. And the screenshots were real screenshots back then. The game wasn't ready by then, but it was like a prototype. And no one believed us. But we never denied it. Afterwards, when people asked me, yeah, it's going to come. And no one believed us. And then, I think they started believing it when nice. They started believing us when the press release about the collector's edition came out, and it actually said on the box, like, there's going to be a C64 edition in it. And then they're like, wait, that can't be a joke anymore. Like, no, it's not a joke. We told you, it's not a joke. Yeah, and then we went one step further and we did that, what you just saw. And we said,
the cartridge.
let's create actual cartridges. but in limited number, because that might actually be one where I put the stickers on, because there's not like we're doing a C64 industry. What we did was that the developers made the game, and then we got the game there, and then our audio designer was actually in a room for like maybe 1 or 2 days just copying like the game on cartridges. Then afterwards he was like, yeah, but someone else can put the stickers on. And then I went there with my marketing team, or like, come on, let's put some stickers on it. And we sat there for like 2 days putting stickers on the cartridges. Now they're done. So yeah, that was an interesting project.
Interestingly, I heard about it thanks to the Low-Tech 64 magazine interview.
Oh, cool.
And they said in the interview originally you planned to make it as a press release only, but a few weeks later Protovision actually had it in stock separately too.
Yes, I think in the interview with Low-Tech, I said something like, we're gonna use it for the press kit, but we have to see how many we actually use, and then how many we have left, and how many we have left over. And then we had this plan, like, if there are enough left over, we can give some to Protovision and actually make them available, because it's better than having them lying around, behind me in the storage room. So we got in touch with Protovision, and then we made it available there. But it was quickly sold out, I think, like just a few days, and then it was gone, as far as I know. But like right now, the thing is like, we're not thinking about actually, mass producing it and selling it again. So if you got it, one of the lucky ones who got it, yeah.
And as you spoke about the special collector's edition, that's actually the box here. And normally in the stores, you would get the collector's edition and you would get it on a CD rather than on a cartridge, right? As a D64 image file. Yeah.
Yes, that's an image file on it, and then the emulator, I think it's device emulator. So we designed it so that on the disc, you just start it. It's like an auto run, I think. And then you get a quick menu and you can start it, and then it loads the emulator and the game at the same time. So you can play it on a PC. But with the image file, you can also put it on your own, on the emulator. I think it also works in the C64 Mini. But also, like, I think I saw someone who actually put it on an actual floppy disk somehow on YouTube. So if you got the equipment at home, it's all possible.
Mm-hmm.
Except AJ said,
except on American systems. Does not work on the American C64.
That's the thing. I think when we did the press kit, we actually gave people like this converter, like the cables, so like PAL NTSC converter for some of them, because we made some bigger press kits, only really just a few. I mean, I think it was like 12 or something, where we actually also send a C64 with them. But these were PAL C64. So we, for the Americans, we also put a converter in there. But then,
seriously, okay.
For the NTC version, I thought it would work, but there was a misunderstanding, I think, with the developers. I'm not sure not sure how we tested it, but sadly. But I think the emulator versions should work on PC anyway. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, emulator, because you can run the emulator as anything.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you really shipped PAL C64 as a press kit to some Americans with power converters?
Yeah, not many. I think for the Americans, I think it was like 3 or 4 or so. Wow. I think like 1 or 2 YouTubers, and then some press, and the rest was in Europe. Yeah.
Well, I'm just surprised by this huge energy and investment. I mean, I would know a lot of publishers who would not put so much effort in doing a proper release, considering you announced it as an April's Fool's joke. So most would just say, okay, it's too much work to make a physical release. And then even sending, even if you say just 2 or 3 people sending European C64s to some YouTubers. Though you really take it serious.
Yeah, that goes back to what I said initially. Like, it's not. It's like the whole company is like once you like an idea, you're also fully behind it. And I think for that project, yeah, in a little bit, it just grew bigger and bigger, and we always thought like, yeah, let's do more and more. And yeah, let's buy use C64s on eBay and send them with them. And like, yeah, and then they're suddenly here. So the thing is like, it all went so fast sometimes, you know. Suddenly there were like 15 C64s in our office, and we were like, yeah, no, we have to ship them, you know. It's like there's no going back. So that's sometimes how it happens, you know. People love the ideas, and then we just kind of make it happen, and then, you know, sometimes, you know, looking back at it, you're like, yeah, that was actually quite a lot of work, but it was fun. Yeah.
How was the reaction from the community? What kind of feedback did you get? Did you get any feedback, or was it mostly from, you know, press and all that stuff?
We actually got a lot of feedback, I think, in general, like from like the normal press that was, you know, confused or excited that it was actually not an April Fool's joke. We got more than I thought, to be honest, from the let's say retro community, because I have to admit that was never really the point that we you know, make you guys excited about Farming Simulator that much. You know, it was just like that. We are also kind of retro gamers. I mean, I quite miss the old games too. Like what I especially miss is like stuff like these California games, and so where you're there with friends in front of one PC, one computer, and you're like, even if you're 6 or 7, you just, you know, each play after another hot seat, and you do this competitions. So that's something I miss in today's games, actually. So, stuff like this. So we loved the C64 back then, and I think that's how it all started. And then we realized that with our game, we've got young players, like really young players, kids, I would say, teenagers, but it also goes up to people that are like between 40 and 60, and a lot of them, they still remember the C64, and they also, you know, they like the C64. So I think from them we got the feedback that they also thought it's a really great idea. They liked it that it's in the collector's edition. Of course, it's you know, the current game is graphically a bit better. So I think they probably played more. But the feedback was pretty good. I mean, of course, it's a bit of a quick fun. I'm not sure how many hours you spent playing it, but yeah, it's. There were also some people who said, like, you shouldn't spend time on creating a C64 game and focus on the real game. But that's what I usually say is, like, there's none of the developers who worked on the real game worked on the C64 game. It was always something like, we have the C64 development crew that can do it. And on the other hand, they couldn't really have, maybe they could have helped us for Farming Simulator 19, but I mean, when I tell you, I mean, it's clear that they worked on that, in their spare time, kind of. They had different jobs at the weekends. They just know how to program a C64. That's how they got in touch with them. So, speaking like that, there was no resources that would have, been working on the real game in Farming Simulator 19 for that. So the only thing there was more or less like, that kind of extra money and effort from our marketing side, maybe, that went into it.
Okay. So in the end, you also did some kind of quality control, I guess, to make sure it's not a crappy basic game or whatever,
Yeah, again, not as much as on the real game, on the Farming Simulator 19, but yeah, we've done some, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So we've seen a lot of 2018 was kind of big for conversions of games. We saw, what's the
Portal?
Portal. There is a version of Portal on the C64 now. There's a version of what's that? I can't think what the name of it is now. It's the oh god.
Not Alone in the Dark.
Yeah.
Lubo or something. It's
Limbo.
called.
Limbo. That's the one.
Limbo.
Oh, that was
An
painful
open
getting
source
there.
game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Limbo.
yeah, right. Limbo. The one of the developers is converting a version of Limbo for the 64. It feels like there's a lot of this happening in 2018, and so Farming Simulator was kind of another one of those really kind of big conversions with kind of like the weight of an actual software company behind it pushing this thing out. So as you were saying, it was a kind of a bigger response than you thought of. So are we looking at like potentially, because we also have Demolition Company and Ski Region Simulator that haven't been ported over yet. So
like I said, not at the moment. In our company, I can never really say never. It's like, I mean, a year ago, I wouldn't have thought that actually, no, maybe 2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that I ever give this interview about a C64 edition. But at the moment, we're not thinking about any other C64 games right now. Yeah.
There were rumors and people were guessing it was probably the Hungarian demo scene Singular that did the conversion because they put their short name on the disk image in the directory.
Yeah, it's them. Yeah.
So did you know that there are good developers known to make technical good software on a C64? Because I think if you release crap, it would have caused the opposite. People would remember then the publisher as releasing the worst C64 game ever or something. I mean, think about ET on Atari, VCS, worst game of all time. So I guess it's a risk.
I didn't know
develop.
them, but I trusted our CEO and our audio designer that they know that they're good. As far as I know, they haven't created that many games, but they were more in the demo scene.
Exactly.
But these demos were good, and it was not like we didn't announce it on April 1st without having the prototype. So, they created a prototype and we had a look at it and we were like, yeah, it's going in the right direction. So we can actually announce it. Otherwise we would have, there was always the option to just say, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, releasing it on April 1st was always gave you that back door of being like, well, it was just a...
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. So it probably reminded you of California games and all that times, as you said. Yeah, nice. So is there any plan what you do with it afterwards? I guess the collector's edition is not so limited after all. I mean, the one that doesn't have the cartridge in it, but the C64 version on a disc-shaped CD sleeve, I think like 30,000 units or something you put in the stores. I don't remember the exact number.
The collector's edition now.
Yes.
I don't think we released the actual numbers. I mean, also because I would have to figure it out, to be honest. But worldwide, that should be over 70,000 actually.
70,000.
So, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Okay, roundabout.
I think the 30,000 might be Germany only, to be honest. Something around that. Yeah. But the actual cartridges, they are quite limited. A couple of hundred.
So that would be. This would probably it's mirroring and stuff, but
yeah,
I guess it's like this, right? Like this CD shaped, this disc shaped CD.
This is the collector's edition, yeah.
Exactly. Nice.
So of the 70,000 sold, 30 of that was in Germany.
Like I said, I don't know the actual sell-through numbers, but they that should be around that. Yeah.
Because Joerg and I were talking a while back, and we were talking about the NTSC stuff about it, and that was, and I was thinking, I don't know what the breakup of sales is between Europe and America, for some reason in my mind, I see Americans being more kind of crazy in that, like, I just spent a long day working on the farm. I'm gonna go play me some farm simulator now. I don't. Europe doesn't. I don't think of farming so much in Europe, even though obviously there's farming in Europe, and it's a thing that
Yeah.
people are aware of. But in my brain, I think of people in the Midwest like hopping off the tractor and going inside and immediately, going back onto the tractor on their computer. So where do the sales kind of break up? How much of it is American? How much of it is European?
I'd say now it's around 50-50. But that's since we started publishing the game on consoles back then with Farming Simulator 13. Before it was PC and Mac only, and that's when it was more like a European phenomenon, strangely. Actually not that strangely. I mean, in the US, the consoles are way more important than I would say in Germany, especially. In Germany, the PC is still really, really strong. I think it's coming back now with games like League of Legends and other games that are more on PC only. But in Germany, the PC was always strong, even though in these times where people said PC gaming is dead, it was still strong in Germany. And the thing is that the collector's edition itself actually is PC only. There's no console collector's edition. That's also a reason why the collector's edition itself is not available in the US, for example, because it's just the PC numbers are not that high, and it's tricky, to manufacture it. Also, like with the taxes and everything, or taxes. Now, how do you call that?
Value-added tax, VAT.
No, he's talking about the
income tax or something.
No. The oh my God, this is just today is just a forgetting words day. Oh my Lord. Tariffs.
Yeah, like they importing, exporting. So it makes it a bit more tricky. For the numbers on PC, so you always have to do the math, and that's why in the PC collector's edition is mainly in Germany, Europe actually, but most of it is in Germany or in Germany. It's still the strongest, I would say, PC only market is the German one.
And I saw on Twitter, actually, it has a huge UK community.
Yeah, it does too. I mean, also, I would say France, Poland is also really, really strong. We've got quite a number in Scandinavia, and then South America is also growing bigger and bigger, like Brazil, for example. But yeah, in general, it's kind of worldwide. But yeah, UK farmers are also really, playing the game a lot, and also like I think the UK YouTubers are growing bigger and bigger. So that usually helps too. Yeah.
That is crazy because it's not. Because this is farming simulator. This isn't, and we're not talking about like a garbage online thing like Farmville, where it's just sort of like like you're sitting on the toilet, bloop bloop bloop. Okay, there's instant reward, whatever. This is like actual simulation of farming. Like this is get a specific tractor, go out there and plant your crops and wait for your crops to grow and then harvest your crops. This is like an actual like Joerg said earlier, like a real life simulation. And it blows my mind that this is a genre that is so popular, but people love it.
Yeah, and it's not only that. It's also I can hop in a train, and that's something big because train simulators were always a genre in the last 10 years that publishers abandoned.
Train simulators, you can't even steer them.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that popular?
And then I was like, okay, wow, now there's actually a train in Farming Simulator that I can control. So,
yeah, it's a bit limited, I would say, what you can actually do with the train in our game, but you can use it. But it's not a train simulator. Yeah. But yeah, that we kind of try to put as much as possible in there, everything that has to do with farming. And I think a lot of it is down to people just wanting to relax. and on the other hand, you've got the actual farmers who I think they just love their job and they love the machines, and also I would say like they would like they're gonna try out different machines and just want to recreate what they've done in real life. In a way, what I always say is like there are a lot of games out there that kind of recreate work. Depends on how you look at it. Like The Sims, for example. I mean, just think about that. You have of course it sounds like fun, but once you play, I mean, it's not better as a game because it's the same about like Farming Simulator. I think you take care of the people that live in a house, including stuff like watering plants or emptying the trash can. That everyone would kind of see that as work at home. And why do you do that in the game? But there are millions of people playing that game. And the same, I would say, is even though it's maybe more fun for some people to play, it's like with the football or soccer games or Madden.
Right.
It is exercise. It is, for some people, it's work because they're professional players, but still at home they play the games.
Right.
Of course, I mean, these are more action-oriented games, so it's a bit different because that's actually you try to compete with someone. But a lot of it is work, and it might. I think it always depends on the perspective how you see it. Someone who hates soccer, football, might not play the game. Someone who really, really hates farming might not play Farming Simulator. But if you love it, if it's your genre, then you might play Farming Simulator or a Train Simulator. I mean, there's a good chance, I would say, that someone who's got a very big miniature train model thing in the basement might play a Train Simulator just because they're so much interested into it. Other people might not like it, but it's about what you like. And there's a lot of people who like farming, like you said, like in America, there's a lot of farmers, and naturally they are more interested in our game than people who might not be interested in farming.
So as you mentioned, console releases, I don't know right now, do you have a Switch release too?
We've got Switch edition. It's more or less based on the Farming Simulator 17 version. For the 19, we haven't really announced anything yet. We're still taking a look at it, depending on the hardware and everything.
Yeah, that's interesting because, as you mentioned at the beginning of our interview, that when you reached out to the consoles, it gained more popularity outside of Germany. And that's interesting because we also run a booth at Gamescom each year. And last year, when I was in the business area, publishers would say, Switch, we have to see. And the only publisher who really released FIFA Soccer for Switch was EA, and they based it on an older version of EA for the Switch. Just as you said for the Switch release of Farming Simulator. So I guess
but that was actually the Switch edition got released before Farming Simulator 19, so there was no new edition at that point. I think the decision now was more that when we created the PS4, Xbox One version, and the PC version, we could all base them on more or less on the same code and the same features. For the Switch, as much as I like the console, there might be some compromises that you have to take. That's why it's kind of an extra work to actually put it on the Switch, and that's why we decided to take a closer look at it afterwards. The same as we've done for 17, where we said the Switch came out during development of 17, but we thought, okay, no, it looks good, but let's finish the game for the major platforms that we have a community on already, and then we look at the Switch, and that's the same that we're going to do now. I think that's how many actually see it. It's a different kind of console, and I think also you always have to look at the strength and the weaknesses of console, and I think portability is definitely something that the Switch can do great. And it would be yeah, I have to look at it. Maybe you do games that are more based on that, that you can take with you all the time. And like I have, my nephew, he's got a Switch, and I've never seen him playing it on the big screen. He always plays it just in his hands. That's why, maybe, you don't need a game that is, running well on a 55-inch TV. Just make a game that is, really working well handheld, which our game actually does, I think. But it's like, because it's so quiet, there's nothing really you have to do fast. But I can imagine like other games, like maybe even FIFA that you mentioned it, on a bumpy train ride or bus ride, you miss a path because there was something. It could be that it's more tricky when you have to react to it. In our game, that probably doesn't really happen.
Right.
But I think there are some games that are more suited for the Switch and some that might not be as good. Yeah.
You mentioned e-gamers before. You could do a farming simulator, the racing game edition for e-gamers.
We actually did a few esports competitions last year. We created a mod map. So our game is also quite open for modding, so people can create their own tractors, maps, features, and that. And we've created a small map where you, in teams of 3, you had to compress straw bales and then pick them up with a forklift with a teleloader, for example, and then stack them on a trailer. And the team that got 20 bales the fastest wins the tournament. That was actually quite popular. We're thinking about expanding that a bit. So the game itself doesn't really have an esports mode or something in it, but with a bit of working around, you can create some competitions. Yeah.
Interesting. So as I see in your company, you're having crazy ideas and you go for it.
Yeah. We got some for this year too. So
Yeah.
Interesting. So where do you want to go from there?
Are we going to see an Atari or an Amiga or a port of the C64 version to a different retro console?
Not that I'm aware of at the moment. Amiga would be nice. Amiga was my computer after the C64.
The Amiga would be good.
Yeah. So I don't know. Not at the moment. We're now focused more on there's more support coming out for Farming Simulator 19. Also like for the modders and for the development, like with extra content coming for it. And then like I said, maybe also like other platforms. No retro platform though at the moment. But these are things we're looking at. And also maybe like the stuff that we started last year with the esports thing. We're gonna have a look at that. It's all kind of I think we're going to make a few more announcements, maybe February, March, around that time in January. I think that's the time where we try to get our crazy ideas together and see how much we can actually do without announcing too much. Because, like I said, once it's out, there's no going back. Unless it's an April Fool's joke announcement. Then you could possibly go back. But we don't want to announce too much.
Let's talk about this e-gaming and modding communities thing, because when I look at other games, for example, GTA 5 or something that have mods and other games in other genres, a lot of publishers actually try to shut down the modding community and say we don't want gamers to tinker with our game. And you are doing it the other way around. You're saying, oh, we are actually supporting that, and we love this e-gamer idea. So I wonder, how did that start? Did some community members say, hey, I made a e-gamer mod, and you said, yes, we make a competition now? Or how did that start?
The modding itself started very early. I think it was already in the first version back then in 2008. It was possible to mod, but a bit more complicated. And then with the next one, it was made way easier. and people could create their own tractors. The thing is that we're a small company and was always kind of limited, in terms of like what we can actually do. There's so many tractors and tools in the world, and we can't recreate them all. So modders could do, could add their favorite tractor, for example, if they knew how to do it. And in a way, it also benefits our game because people got like almost infinite content, to play with. I think where the trouble starts with mods might be especially things like when you have like competitions online or people playing against each other, and there's a risk that maybe you can cheat with some mods, for example. I mean, like I said, I'm not a developer, so I don't know too much about it, but that's something I could imagine, that mods start to become serious when there's like an advantage that you can get, or you kind of break the game. And one thing that also affects us sometimes is people still try to how do you phrase it? They come to you when they have problems with mods. Some often also because they don't know that it's a mod that is causing the problem. But yes, I mean, when someone contacts our support, we try to help them, but one of the first questions is always like, have you tried it without any mods installed? And very often it actually solves the problem. So then, the thing is, you don't want to just, send them away. You can try to find out what mod is causing it. But on the other hand, you should, we also have to, concentrate on the people who have problems with our game, with the stuff that we created. Because technically you can download everything on the internet, put it in there, and then break our game with it. And then you come to us on the support hotline. So I think that could also be something that some other companies, just say like they generally don't want to do it. In our case, I think the mods are just really important for the game. That's kind of something we have to do, but we always try to be as polite as possible. Also, when someone comes and has 900 mods installed, there are actually people who come to the support and they have over 1,000 mods installed. And then, of course, your first thought is like, maybe one of these mods is causing the problem. Or what also happens very often is like a combination of mods. So, one mod is fine, having the other mod installed is fine too, but having both just breaks something because right. They haven't developed, they haven't tested it with the other mod. When we create the game, of course, we try to always test all the features like in combination with each other. With a mod, the developer just focuses on their mod, but can't test it with the millions is too much, but several thousands of mods that are out there and tested with each of these mods. So I think that might also be an issue, and maybe also some that can take some time.
And how did that start with the e-gamer competition?
That started 2017, just before the Agritechnica convention. That's a big, or maybe even the biggest agriculture convention in the world, or at least in Europe. I think it's the world actually. And where we also usually go there and meet with the manufacturers and catch up like what they've done, what they've got new, what might be good for a game and so. But then we had a few partners that reached out to us, and we always thought that it might be fun to actually do some competition at an event at some point. But I think none of us really thought more about that idea at some point. We always thought it's fun. But then when they reached out to us and we thought, if we actually have some partners, helping us and promote it, and then they said, we might actually think about prices and and then we thought, if we kind of share the work, we can focus on creating that mod map so that people can actually play with it. You maybe focus on creating the booth and maybe advertise it a bit and recruit the players who actually take part in it. And then that's how it started. So the first one was at the Agritechnica convention. And then we went on a bit further to do it we have got our own convention, the FarmCon, in Germany. And last year we had 1,000 people coming there. So we thought, that's also a good spot to, make a competition. So we've done it there too. And then we also did one or two other conventions where people from there also kind of reached out to us, like saying like, hey, there's also something in Poland, for example, we could do it there. And we're like, we don't speak Polish, but we've got one Polish guy in our company, so that's fine. But without local partners, we couldn't have done it. So we said, okay, let's do it. So I would say that was similar to the C64 edition, where someone just came to us with the idea, and then we thought it's a good one, and then once you announce it, it's over. You have to do it. That's how it ends up doing.
Okay. It's totally interesting because usually publishers that I speak to, they are not doing something because it's always a risk. You have this thing like, for example, let's put, for example, Konami. They never did something retro. And now that everybody is doing retro, they announced they are doing a new version of Hypersports.
Oh, really?
After,
like, is this one? Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that companies now say, okay, we do it because others do it too. But you decide on, I do it because I think it's a fun idea. So you are not scared of taking risks and going new ways.
Yeah, I mean, we've done the same game for 10 years, so that's
we need something.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, that's not what I meant. I mean, of course, we've done more stuff with it, and we also took some risks with the game, of course. But I think, well, of course, there's some risk, like in the things that we've done. But there was things that we wanted to do. So I think it's different if it's something that we wouldn't, want to do, and then at the same time it's an investment and the risk. Because I would say, like, worst case, if it fails, we at least had fun creating it at the same time. And then we also hope that some people had, fun with it. So yeah, I mean, of course, if no one would have been interested in C64 edition, then it would still be in the collector edition, and people who bought the collector edition have it. So it would more or less, it would have been an investment. We had the time. Maybe it would be sad that we spent so much time putting stickers on the cartridge. No one would like it. But now it's just, fine that it worked out like that. With the esports, I think it's the same, because it's also something we want to do. We also have esports fans in our company, and they say, like, it would be fun doing it. And as long as it's fun, it's not really a lost investment, because I think it's always, it's nicer if you're working and you have fun instead of like working on something that you don't want to do. I can't speak of the other companies now, but maybe sometimes you don't want to take risks because you're also not interested in actually doing it. And then at some point you think maybe, we have to do it because everyone else is doing it. So I would definitely say in our case with the esports, it was not really like we have to do it because esports is the next big thing or something like that. I think for us it was more like, how can we come up with alternative content for all people? And we was like, it would be nice to have something. That's one thing that at least I always thought about, and some of my team, we talked about it before they addressed us with the idea. It was like, when we go to conventions and we have people there that know our game already and they bought the game, sometimes you're there and we show the game, but it's the game they already have at home, and there's no point for them coming to our booth apart from talking to us and maybe show others how much they know about the game. And that's what if we have something like a competition, then we have something for them to come to our booth and have fun there. And it's also it's like event content, more or less. So that was the idea behind it, like having something like that, and not just to make money with it or something. Like we probably won't, but it's more like a bit like extra content after the game got released.
Well, so I'm looking forward to it. Is that you are planning on making this e-gamer competition thing maybe a bit bigger? So I'm looking forward to what you are going to announce this year about it.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, we're still talking about it and see how much we're gonna do, what we're gonna do. But I mean, we've done a few events now, so it's probably it probably won't have been the last that we did last year. But let's see how much we're gonna do.
Great, wonderful.
Very cool.
So I think from my side we got it covered pretty much.
Yeah, I'm pretty jazzed.
Wow, we spoke 1 hour about Farming Simulator.
Yeah, nice. So, yeah, you wouldn't have thought about that a year ago, I guess.
No. I mean, Farming Simulator was on the rear end of my list of games I want to buy, but but now I have a different point of view. I really enjoyed playing it on the C64 and the PC,
Okay.
and and suddenly like, wow, you have passed 2 hours now. Spend 2 hours on a farming simulator, like, oh my god, I would have never thought that,
With the awesome sound.
Yeah, and the automatism, and and then hiring a helper so you can do something else instead. So I planned to play like 10 minutes, and it ended after 2 hours. So
yeah, that goes really fast with the game. Yeah.
That proves that it's really very entertaining. Yeah.
If you haven't played it online with a friend yet, I highly recommend it because I started out playing it single player, and then I just met an ex-colleague of mine again, and we thought, let's catch up again on Skype. And so really, well, why don't we play the game while at the same time we talk on Skype? Because I could use some help on my farm, and I need some grass for my cows, and then you could help me. And then we ended up the same that you just did. Like, I think 3 hours I drove behind him while he was mowing the grass, and I picked up the grass, and then we talked, and we were kind of productive at the same time, because his cows were happy afterwards. But it's actually quite nice together because you can still talk with each other. It's not like other games where when you play them online with your friends, you more or less just say like, oh yeah, that was luck, or I beat you, and
trash talk.
Trash talk. So you can actually talk while you play the game, and I quite like that. When I realized that, and I was like, yeah, that's actually something I totally forgot about that game. That it's very social too.
Maybe we can try it sometime if you like.
Oh yeah. I play on the PS4 though. I don't know which way you got the PC version, right?
I got the PC version. I don't know. Yeah. Is it cross-platform compatible?
No, it's not. We're kind of still looking into it. It's like the same thing. We're passionate about that too, but we need to look in the technical stuff. But yeah, let's see. But yeah, because I kind of got rid of all my gaming PCs. I play in the consoles. PCs.
How about the Switch edition? I don't know. Does it work?
It does not have multiplayer now. That was one of the things we had to get rid of for it, yeah.
Okay. That's a pity because I just got a Switch for Christmas, so maybe that would have been an option for me.
No, that's sadly that doesn't work. No.
Okay, but if you worked out the cross-platform thing, let me know, and I will definitely be your customer.
We can do that. It probably won't work ever with playing FS19 on PC and then a C64 edition.
I'm still waiting for that YouTube video, that comparison YouTube video,
Yeah. Give it time though, because I mean, it just goes to show how active even the cracking scene in the C64 still is. Because I swear, within a week of Farming Simulator coming out, there were at least 6 different cracks online of it.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no NTSC fix from what I saw.
Not yet. Not yet.
No.
I'm waiting.
It's nice. So where can people actually find out about you and Farming Simulator?
Yeah, on our website, farming-simulator.com. That's where you can find out more about it. You can also buy the C64 edition there in case you don't want the cracked version. It's still available there, but also in the normal game.
We encourage everyone to buy the actual version instead of the cracked version.
I think it's only like €5 or something on our website like that. We just wanted to make it available, but not like completely for free because it wasn't a collector's edition. So
right, and the best way to get to let developers know that you're into something or that it's a worthwhile endeavor is to actually purchase the product from them, because if you want to see an Atari version or an Amiga version, it's not going to happen if people don't buy the C64 version, essentially.
Yeah. Actually, I bought the collector's edition from Denmark, despite I got the press kit, because it's a different release, and I wanted to support the company. Yeah. I thought, hey, why not getting?
Well, I bought it despite the fact that I have an NTSC C64 because it's a C64 release, and you want to support the company.
Yeah, so why not? Why not? So where can people find out about you? I don't know if you are allowed to say.
What do you mean? Like,
I mean, you spoke where people can get Farming Simulator. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on Twitter, Instagram somewhere. You can probably find me there. If you follow my Twitter, you might find my Instagram too. I share some pictures there. I just forgot my Twitter handle, actually. I think it's Martin Rabl or something like that. You will probably find it, I guess, if you look.
Sure. We will link to everything in the description, no problem. Wow, thanks for taking the time and talking about so much things with us.
Yeah, no problem. It was good fun. A different evening than usual.
I will let you know when we release this, and hope we can catch up. I want to know more about the e-gaming stuff when it's coming out.
Reach out to me, yeah. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
So that was Martin Rabl. Pretty nice, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. That was very cool. How's your battery? You down to like 8% now?
I don't know. I don't see it because Skype is full screen.
Oh, okay. We were just gonna try. We're just gonna hope that we've got enough. So
enough of what?
Enough of your battery to finish the podcast. I mean, the 10% has lasted like an hour now.
I know. It's, as I said, it's high capacity.
Yeah, these new iPhones,
battery.
man, they're amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's actually it's interesting. Because the old battery would only last for a day. This doesn't matter what you do. Right. And during Christmas and all that stuff, I was using it a couple of times, and at 11 p.m., so the day was almost over, I had 68% battery left. I was like, is this a joke or is this real? This battery is amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder why does Apple not do such batteries? I have no idea. No. It's obviously possible to make a battery that lasts longer than just a day.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
So it's not fake label. It's true. They actually hold up to their promises. So not everything from China is crap, despite Trump is saying so. Some things from China are good.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let me call you on the PC and
you can check out Farming Simulator. You can check out Farming Simulator. Farming Simulator is at farming-simulator.com. And we'll put links to everything that we talked about in the description down that way, so that you can check that out and go there and buy things and support companies that support the C64, because that's the only way we're going to get more stuff like this is if we all kind of collectively, make it worthwhile.
And they were serious about it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put so much effort in it.
Right. Yeah. So maybe we'll see that Amiga version next if we all gather together and.
Or the NES version.
Yes.
So see ya. Bye. Okay.